Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rochelle from Rochelle.Handmade.Designs, and in this video we are finally doing the productivity video. This has been a highly requested video for, oh my goodness, like 9 months to a year. So I do apologize that it's been taking me very long to do this video. However, I wanted to basically make sure that I provide enough details on how I do things, and I wanted to make sure that I'm consistent with what I'm doing before providing a video to you. So because my schedule has been consistent and I am super organized, I wanted to get this video to you now rather than later. Now, before we get started, go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button, and also turn on the notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into this video. So one thing I want to mention is I have my notes because it's quite a bit to cover in this video. And I've been asked so many times on, Rochelle, it's 24 hours in a day. How do you get videos together? How do you sew so much? How do you cook? How do you clean? How are you a mother? How are you a wife? How do you teach? So I get a lot of the how. So I am going to explain. I'm going to try to break it down and explain to you how I get these things done in 24 hours, okay? So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So it's going to be broken down into two parts. The first part is how I stay productive and how I do it. So the first part, I'm going to tell you how I do it, and then I'm going to show you how I get things done. Okay. So no, I'm not going to walk you through my kitchen on how I cook and how I, put my kids to bed. I'm not doing any of that. But what I'm going to do is tell you what I do, and then I'm going to let you guys have a peep into my calendar for a day to see how I do everything. So because what I do and how I work, you guys will not actually see it into action of me working, but you guys will see my calendar, and basically I'm just going to tell you what I do. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So number one, the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, I take time to myself. You have to. So if you just jump up and you take a shower and you go straight to working with your children and don't take time for yourself, you will be miserable. I had to learn this after having my son. I had to learn how to take time for myself because I'm always on mommy duty. I want to say I'm on mommy duty probably about 10 hours out my entire day, and there's only 24 hours in a day. And yes, my kids do go to school. They actually go to a school. But being a mother, you're always doing something for a kid, whether they call you from school or whatever, you're always on mommy duty. Okay. So with that being said, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, of course, wash my face, brush my teeth, take a shower. Once I do that, I come downstairs and I go ahead and make me a cup of tea. I sit on the couch. I catch up mostly on YouTube because that's about the only time I can actually catch up on YouTube videos. So what I do is I have people that I subscribe to and follow. And what I do is I mark them as they come up and get my notifications or whatever, or I get their notifications rather. I mark them as watch later. And then every morning I go to the latest one, not the latest one, but basically the first one that I have saved recently, and I watch the video, comment, and then I can remove it from my watch later. It helps me to not have to scroll through probably 200-300 people that I'm subscribed to channel every single day, because that would take so much time out of my day and I would not be able to get anything done. So that's one of the things that I do. I take time for myself. I go ahead and just wind down with a cup of tea. And I do that roughly for about 30 minutes first thing in the morning because no one is up but me. I know you guys wonder, well, what time do you wake up? I'm normally up anywhere between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning because my children doesn't get up until about 7:30-ish. So that gives me an hour and a half to 30 minutes to go ahead and watch videos. And sometimes I'll just come downstairs and cut a pattern or read over some, sewing stuff. But I don't sew most of the time in the morning because I will be interrupted by children asking me for food. And I don't want those issues and those problems, so I just don't do it, all right? So another thing that I do is, because I work what is called a split shift, which is I work a few hours in the morning and a few hours in the afternoon because, like I said, I'm a mother and I have to pick children up from school. So my split shift is 9 to 2, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to 1 on Wednesdays because the kids have what is called an early day. And then at night, I work nights 5 to 8 as well. So basically it's 8 hours a day. So I'm a full-time employee, basically. So even though I work a split shift, 9 to 2 and 5 to 8, I know you're wondering, like, well, how does that work? Well, by the time I get off of work, I'm straight going to pick children up. And then from 3 to 4, I do homework. And then basically 3 to 4, homework with my son. I don't need to do homework with my daughter because she's almost 12. So all I'm doing is checking to make sure that she's did her homework and that it's correct. By that time, it's time to prep dinner, and I normally prep dinner anywhere from 4 to 5, and we eat dinner between 6 and 7. Now, I know you're wondering, well, if you work from 5 to 8, how do you eat dinner? Listen, I don't eat dinner. I'm the one that doesn't eat dinner simply because most of the time I'm working. So they try to eat closer to the 6:30 and 7:30 to where they could kind of hold off until 8. But here lately, I've been actually getting off of work at 7 to where we could eat right at 7. But because food is normally already done and all I have to do is warm it up, and because I'm not on a phone or anything, I could actually eat when I'm working most of the time, because that's basically the time that I actually take a break just to eat for 15 to 20 minutes and then go back to doing what I need to do. Now, when I'm working, I cannot come and sew or anything. So if that's what you're wondering, I don't get to do that. The only thing that I can do is read pattern instructions. Basically, if I needed to edit a video, I could do all of that. But other than that, because I do have flexibility with work, it doesn't require me to be on a phone, but it does require lots of meeting through Zoom. So sometimes you just can't get up and do what you need to do. Okay. And because I do a lot of scheduling and planning and budgets and all of that stuff, yeah, I just can't do, just get up and walk away or whatever and be gone for a long time. I just can't do that. But that's my work schedule. So for lunch, what do I do on my lunch schedule? So when it's lunchtime, I'm either recording a video, cutting a pattern, or interfacing or reading over pattern instructions. Reason being because, like I previously said, if I'm not doing those things, then I will be interrupted by children constantly if I was sewing. And because of that, I would forget what I'm doing. So I do not sew during lunch because, like I said, lunch is only 1 hour. But because I work a split shift, I don't really get a lunch break. It's basically, I just find time in between that 2 and 5 o'clock. But because I'm picking up children and doing homework, I just pray that my son doesn't have homework that day so I could get a little bit of sewing in. But most of the time I just wait until after work and pretty much sew from 8:30 to 10 p.m. That's what I do. My sewing schedule, so I sew 4 days a week. And what that looks like is basically Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, is what I normally do with sewing. And I'll tell you what I do on each day here shortly. But those are the days that I actually do something with. I do something with sewing and YouTube every single day. But those are the days that I strategically take just to sew, hear the sewing machine and all that good stuff, all right? So the times that I normally sew, like I just said, was 8:30 to 10. Sometimes I have to go on into 11 o'clock. And it depends on if I'm doing a sew along or a pattern review or if I did not get to something the night before, because I try not to go over whatsoever, because how I plan my schedule, it gives me just that amount of time to finish what I need to do. But sometimes if there's an error or I make a mistake or whatever, I have to go over 30. Most of the time it's no more than 30 minutes, because I try to be in bed, rested by 11 p.m. All right, so on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays is when I do a lot of my planning, editing, scheduling, calendar move and swap. What I mean by calendar move and swap, that means that I'm moving things that I didn't get to or need to get to a lot sooner. I move it and I swap with things that's not as important. Like for instance, if I know today was a day where I need to post a video, but I originally had cutting a pattern out. Okay, well that means I could swap cutting a pattern for tomorrow morning or something, before, just wake up a little early, cut the pattern and be done with it before my children wake up and go to school, right? So that means that I would move and swap two things out of my schedule to still have a set schedule, but it's still meeting the purpose of what, I intend to do. All right, so now that I talked about what I do and how I stay productive, let's go ahead and talk about how I get things done being a full-time worker, a mother, a wife, a YouTuber, a tutor, a teacher, all of those things, okay? So number one, let's talk about cooking. So I have a son that's a peanut allergy, and because he's a peanut allergy, it's hard to go out to eat. And because I like to keep my coins, right, I tend not to go out to eat as much. I try to do one day a week, which is pretty much on the weekends, on eating out or door dashing or whatever. So I do have what is called a menu, and I take meat out or whatever the case may be, meat, vegetables, everything else that I need that day. I prep food roughly about 1, 2 o'clock. I'll just move away from my computer, because you guys all know that I work from home. I just move from my computer, kind of prep meat or whatever, put it back in the refrigerator for an hour to let all the marinade mix together or whatever. And then I try to go ahead and start prepping at 2, pick up my son at 3 from school, and then I come home and prep some more or whatever, or start dinner, and then pick my daughter up at 4, because she gets out of school at 4. By that time, I pick her up roughly 4:10 or whatever, she's at home, and by that time, I'm able to start cooking. So dinner is normally ready 5:30, 6 o'clock when my husband gets home from work. So that's what I normally do. So, like I said, the only person that I have to do homework with is my son between 2 and 3. And then from roughly 7 to 8, I'm making sure that I have a nighttime routine for my kiddos. Like, you do not have to be asleep at 7, but you will be in your bedroom, not making noise, not making racket, none of that. Between 7 and 8. It depends on if I had a late dinner because everything was not done. But most of the time, we try to sit down and eat all together by 7 o'clock. That's the goal, but sometimes it goes over. If I had a meeting that went over, or homework that went over, or whatever, or somebody wasn't where they needed to be when I needed to pick them up, children. So yeah, that's what happens there. All right, moving on from cooking, let's talk about tutoring. So you guys know that I teach. So I teach during the day, I tutor at night. And it's basically all for the same. I'm not going to tell you where I work and what I do, but I teach and tutor. So I teach in the morning, I tutor at night, but it's still all 8 hours work schedule. So because tutoring is done at night, I have set days that I tutor. So every day is not a 5 to 8, but I still get a total of 40 hours a week in. All right. So that's how the tutoring situation works. And of course I have clients and I have all of that stuff that happens when you tutor. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about my YouTube content calendar. All right, so I use a dry erase board, and on the dry erase board, I have one for a month. I have one yearly one. I have one monthly one, and I have one weekly one. You guys have seen the weekly one several times, and most of the time, if I'm filming on that side of the room, which is on the other side of this camera, right? I am normally erasing it because some things I don't need you guys to know what I'm doing, or it's a week past to where I haven't gotten around to erasing it to write the new week up. But I do use a yearly, a monthly, and a weekly dry erase board for that reason, to keep me accountable for what I need to do. All right. So the yearly one. So when I plan the YouTube content, I do a year. I look a year in advance. Like, I have not started next year because it's the beginning of 2022. So I will not be planning my next year content until the summer time. So I plan my yearly content 6 months out. So I'll start planning and looking at what I want to do in 2023 during the summertime, roughly between July and August time frame. I will be looking at the fall patterns to put at the very top of my list, and what have you. So I look far in advance. If there's any series I want to do, I put them down on my calendar. And basically 6 months out is basically brainstorming. 2 to 3 months out is when I actually make my calendar for the next year. So I start actually physically putting things on a calendar for next year, October, November time frame, but I'm brainstorming 6 months out. When it comes from yearly to monthly, so there's 12 months in a year. So the monthly calendar, I make any changes to my monthly calendar the month prior, to where I'm not doing a whole bunch of changes and all that stuff, because when I do my sewing plans, I like to stick to what I told you guys what I'm sewing for the month. And it makes it easy because it may be a print that you're looking at and you're like, oh, I can't wait for her to make that item up. I want to see what it looks like on someone of that size or whatever. So I try not to change what I said I was going to sew in the sewing plans video. That's what a sewing plans video is for, right? So, but sometimes if something comes up and I can't get to it or whatever, I try to put it for the next month. Unlike that tailored blazer, that took 4 or 5 months to even completely finish. And it was on the next month and the next month and the next month until I finished. I did not want to put it in a UFO to do during the springtime when I do UFOs. I don't have many of those this year though, at all. All right, so moving on from the weekly calendar. So the weekly calendar, any changes that I need to the weekly calendar, I do on Sundays. So like for instance, today is Sunday. I'm recording this on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, right? And so because today's Sunday, if there's something that I need to change for this upcoming week, I would do it today. Not this upcoming week, the week after this week. So the week of the 21st of February. If there's anything that I need to change to that week, I would do it today because it's more than a week out. It's basically, so how I do that is I do what is called move swap. So I would move something that I need to do, like for instance, the BHM Pattern Designer Challenge. So that's like, oh, okay, I could wait for whatever I'm sewing next week and cut out the stuff that I need to do for the Black History Month Pattern Designers Challenge or whatever. I could move and swap because I'm more than a week out to get things up, and I could swap and see what days I want to post things or of that sort, because today is Sunday and that's when I normally do it. Me and my daughter will sit down and brainstorm how to do things because she is kind of like my secretary. To be honest, yes, she does help me quite a bit. And she's always behind the scene, not in front of the camera. So I do have help on some things, but a lot of the things I do myself, like the uploading, the editing, the recording. I do all of those things myself. My daughter, what she does is she does like a lot of the computer work, where it's like, move this around in a calendar or cut this out or help me but fuse something together. She does stuff like that. Little simple things that she can do, okay? Now, daily, I do not change my daily calendar. I just don't do it because that's how things get messed up. So I tend not to change things that's occurring that day. Now, if it's something that's occurring the next day, if it's within 24 hours, I will change. If it's not, then I will not worry about it and just have to stick it out. Unless something important come up and I have to change, like if it was something that had to do with my child or whatever, and I have to make a few phone calls and get some things changed, I will change then. But other than that, I do not change things for that day. That's set for that day and it's that day. All right. All right. How do I plan my YouTube postings? All right. So the first thing I would do is let's just talk about monthly. So during the month or when I do my sewing plans, I look and see if there's anything I want to do a sew along for. And I go ahead and plan that on my calendar. And the reason why I do that is because most sew alongs will take 2 to 3 days. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to say, I hope you guys don't think that I'm filming this sew along all in one day, because 9 times out of 10, I am not. And it has taken me 2 or 3 days to do the sew along. Reason being is because I take 1 day to cut the pattern, the fabric, and interface. The next day, I'm probably recording the first portion of the video, which is the intro and the outro or something like that. Basically, the video itself. And then after that, I'm doing the meat and potatoes the third day. The meat and potatoes is basically what the video is going to be about. So it could be where most of the time I'm not doing the entire video all in one day. It may be broken up into 2 or 3 days, because I know some of my videos, you will see nail polish on my hands when I'm at the sewing table, and then the next clip you will not. And that's simply because I still take care of myself, whether it's a video day or not. All right. So yes, so that's how I am able to plan my YouTube content. And if there's a sew along, I just completely schedule it where it needs to be scheduled. All right. So sewing items. How do I sew items? So what I do before I even get started sewing anything, I read the steps 2 and 3 times. And most of the time I'm sitting in a meeting where I'm not talking, I'm just listening. And I will put the headphones down off my head in a meeting and just read the instructions, because I'm either waiting on someone or the information does not refer to me or anything at that moment, so I can read 2 or 3 steps that I would need to do. I make notes on my instructions constantly. And the notes that I make on my instructions is if I need to interface a certain portion that doesn't call for interfacing because I want it there, or if I need to serge the seams or something like that, because it doesn't tell you where you need to serge. You just have to know where you need to serge the seam. If I need to press it. If there's any type of errors in the pattern, most of the time I make those on my pattern instructions that day. All right, so now let's talk about my sewing schedule. All right, so on Mondays, I normally record my What You Working on Wednesdays, but here lately I've been having to record it on Tuesdays because I do have a meeting every Mondays between 4 and 6 p.m. And because of that, I'm unable to record the video on Mondays like I have planned to do since the start of the year. So because I have to do it on Tuesdays right now, because like I said, I have an appointment, don't know when it will end with this Monday between 4 and 6 p.m. appointment schedule. I have to record it on Tuesdays, and I normally wake up very, very early Tuesday to get that done. When I say early, I'm talking about 6 o'clock, be ready to record by 7 o'clock, and be done recording by 7:30-ish. My What You Working on Wednesday. And then once I do that, I run upstairs and get my kids together. But I don't want them making noises, so sometimes you have to wake up early to get what you need done. All right. Tuesdays. Normally on Tuesdays, I am recording sew-alongs right after I finish eating. So most Tuesdays is something quick and easy that I make. And what I mean, I'm talking about food-wise. And because when it comes to sew-alongs or recording, I try to put something in my schedule for as far as food, the menu, that's something easy and quick, whether it be my cheeseburger bites that I make or ramen noodles, grilled cheese sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly, breakfast for lunch or breakfast for dinner. Those things, I try to make it super easy and will not take a lot of time so I can get to what I'm doing, because my husband and I, we both know that sew along takes a very long time, all right? On Wednesdays is when I do a lot of batch work. What I mean by that is I batch cut interfacing and lining most of the time. If there's any interfacing or any lining to a pattern, I batch cut, and I do that for an hour and a half. So I look and see what's coming up for the week. If it needs any interfacing, I completely batch cut the pattern and the lining and interfacing on Wednesdays, okay? On Thursdays, I finish up my sew-alongs. Most of the time, if there's anything left for me to have to do to finish it up, that's what I normally do on Thursdays. On Fridays, I work on my next week plans. And what that means is basically I'm working to see what days I want to post any type of sew-alongs, or, well, we already know what you're working on Wednesdays. I already know. I just basically figure out what I want to post for my what you're working on Wednesdays, okay? And then if there's a sew-along, I plan if I want to do it on a Saturday, a Sunday, a Friday, what have you, in order to get the sew-along done. So that's what I do on Fridays, because I have a meeting every Friday morning at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Also, Saturday, that's when I do all my batch cutting of patterns and fabric. So on Fridays, after that meeting and after kids get out of school, I do not have any tutoring sessions at all on Fridays. So because of that, I'm able to have the afternoons of Fridays and Saturdays to cut patterns, cut fabric, and then have, I want to say, a stash full of fabric that I need to sew up, okay? So I use what is called the tray system. And the tray system is, I have 10 trays that I put patterns that I have cut and fabric that I have cut or will be cutting on there. And I just grab the tray along with the notions and everything and use it like that. I'll show you here shortly what that looks like. And then on Sundays, I record and do all the editing. So that's a lot of sitting down that day. So I tend to go back and forth to the kitchen for tea and coffee and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, Sundays is one of the days where it's a lot of recording and editing and stuff like that. So that's what I reserve Sundays for, because while it's after I edit, I go sit on the couch, wait for the edit is done, upload to YouTube, wait for it to be done on YouTube while I'm sitting on the couch. So it's a lot of, even though it's a lot of recording and edits, that's the time where I'm actually able to spend time with the family as well. You wouldn't believe it, but I do. All right, so now that I told you how I do it, what I'm going to do is take you over to my office and my computer. I'm going to do a voiceover because my husband also works out of the same office when he works from home on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I do not interrupt his time. So I'm going to do a voiceover for this portion of the calendar. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to take you over to my calendar now. All right, so we are over here to my calendar, and basically I'm just showing you last week's calendar because I have to protect, for what I do, I have to protect my students. So I am not going to show names. I'm not going to last week and this week because I did put in like tutoring fillers right here without my student name, but my calendar, like if I go to next week, it'll actually show the name of the student that I would be tutoring, and I don't want those issues, okay? So, like I said, on Sunday, the only thing I needed to do this past Sunday, last week, was you see where it says edit sew along video. So I edit the video and then I posted it at 3 o'clock, like I was intending to do based off of when there will be a lot of people online after church and stuff like that. So I posted it at 3. And then Monday, it's green because that means that I'm not doing anything with YouTube. Now I'm just going to show you my categories right quick on how I completely have everything, broken down into, and I have a lot of categories. These are not the only colors, just by the way. So everything that's in yellow means that I have an appointment. Anything that red is bills, of course, because with a busy lifestyle like I do, I have to make sure that everything just pops up. And then where it says business income is my tutoring sessions that I have. Also, I do other things outside of just tutoring, and YouTube is not part of a business income whatsoever because I do YouTube for fun and I like doing videos and stuff like that. But that's not as part of business income. My business income is more of tutoring and notary and stuff like that. That's what the business income is all about. Um, Also, in like this till is Facebook and Instagram posting. That means that I need to post to Facebook and Instagram on a certain day for that. And then movies and TV shows, like if there's any movies that comes out or I'm binge watching a TV show, I would put it in that color. Of course, nails and hair care, most of the time that's done on Saturday. Um, and it's in pink. And then any national days, I do national days simply because, like, when we have like National Pie Day or National Pancake Day, I actually do that at home and I will go ahead and get uh, strawberries and whipped cream and all of that stuff to celebrate the day. So I do that as well, chip and dips and stuff like that. Online extra funds is when I do. Um, Gas station inspections and stuff like that. So I am an inspector for gas stations. So I will do inspections on gas stations and food and stuff like that. So basically, it's basically mystery shopping. So this is what is part of online extra funds and business income as well. So those two go hand in hand, and you will not see that in this week because, like I said, I like to protect different things that I do. All right. Because I actually put the location that I'm going to. So that's why I don't want to put those things on the calendar that I'm sharing with you guys right now. Of course, payday. Well, you guys be like, how many checks do you collect? Honey, many of them. Okay. All right. Shoot. So my photo shoot days are any day during the week. I try to take photos strategically on Wednesdays and on Saturday, but I don't like to take photos back to back and have so many changes. So because I get myself dressed up every single day, I just tend to do a couple of photos on Saturdays and then a couple of photos on Wednesday because most of the time I'm only posting no more than 2 times a week. So it works out perfectly on those 2 days. And then the dark pink is Sew It Academy. The lighter teal is Sew Your View. So Sew Your View is hosted by That's So Monica on Instagram, and you can use this Sew Your View page as well. I haven't been doing it lately. I used to do it all the time in 2020 and the early part of 2021 as well, but I just haven't had time specifically for like those PDF patterns. I just don't have enough time to tape them together, cut it out, and everything like that. I need a pattern that's already put together. No shade to the PDF patterns because I do have a lot of those PDF patterns from Mood that I want to try. It's just when my children are not in school in like the summertime, I'm probably more able to participate in the ones that's PDF. However, I did make a list of the ones for Sawyer View all the way back to like 2018 that I will be doing and posting when I have a little bit more time. All right. So I will do a whole series on Soul Review and just basically playing catch up. And then I have vacation workout schedule, which you will not see my workout schedule here because I am doing something new that I will be starting Tuesday, the 15th. And I have a friend joining me, and I don't want to kill her, right, with how I work out because you guys probably have heard this before, but I am starting again on Freeletic. And you can look it up on what Freeletic is, but Freeletic is basically a HIT program. And if you don't know what HIT is, it's high intensity training. And I have done this for so many years on HIT, and you build and sculpt your body, okay? Because in the last year, I quit working out for several reasons due to, moving and then, not feeling motivated in 2021 because the pandemic was still going on. So now it's time for me to get back in shape for the summertime because I want to sew a swimsuit, okay? So you can't be sewing swimsuits and you got extra weight all over your body looking like a water tube. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. And then I have my YouTube content, anything that deals with a video for YouTube posting or sew along, that's what the YouTube tab is for. So that's my category. So let's go ahead and look at the calendar. So on February 6th, 2022, the only thing I needed to do was edit the video and post it. I did that. And then anything that's in like this regular green, lime green, that basically means it's not a video. It's just me basically sewing. I don't have to have no cameras on or anything, no lighting on or anything, because like I said, I sew at night. So I have to be mindful of all the lights that's on if I'm recording. So I have a setup to where I just push a button and the lights come on, right? So when I am recording, like what you're working on Wednesdays during the day, on like a Tuesday or something, I have to remember that my camera shows up really nice when the lights is on. I'm talking about the big light that's actually in the home, right? Not ring lights or anything like that, even though I do have those, but I specifically use the ring lights only at the sewing table for my sew alongs. I do not use it for my what you're working on Wednesdays simply because it's so much lighting from the window that I sit by. I don't need it. However, it wasn't a lot of light in these last two videos, and I do apologize about that. And it wasn't because the camera, it was just an update, and I forgot to flip it back to 4K. All right. So that's what happened there. And then we have my schedule, the posting for the sweetheart dress, which I did that, and then it posted. So I normally schedule my posting so you guys can see what's coming up next. Sometimes I'm not able to because I'll be editing and then able to post it that same day. So sometimes if you do not see that thumbnail, it's because I'm still editing it. Okay. And then I went ahead and cut a pattern for the next sew along, which I don't want to discuss what's the next sew along is for, which is the Sew What series. But you guys already seen that if you've seen the video. It's the Project 2, which would be a Black History Month tote bag. It was supposed to be the NFL tote bag. However, Super Bowl was just this past Sunday, and I didn't want to release back-to-back videos for the Sew What series, so I went ahead and rescheduled that. I plan on getting it up sometime within the next 2 weeks. That bag tutorial should be up. Once again, that bag is Simplicity 1338, and I have my fabric for it now. I also have tutoring sessions. I cut my patterns for my Valentine's Day dress. You guys were able to see that Monday on Valentine's Day. So happy late Valentine's Day to you guys. Whatsoever, I love Valentine's Day. I had an amazing time over the weekend with my husband for our lunch date, and we will be doing our second date, which is dinner date, this upcoming week. And then, of course, you may see where I have my son. His name is Dominic, and he has appointments every Monday from 4 to 6, and then again on Fridays from, actually it's 9 to 10. I'm sorry, 9 to 10, and then he goes to school. So yeah, that's what my schedule looked like last week. Of course, you're not going to see like work because it's a set 9 to 2, except for on Fridays. All right. And then, where I have record Berta style pattern hauls. I did that at 3 o'clock last Friday, and then I posted it the next day, basically. So that's how my calendar looked last week. I'm not going to show next week simply because it is a lot of stuff on the schedule for the week of Valentine's Day, and because I did not block off the tutoring. It will show my client's name, and I don't want to do that. I want to protect their privacy as much as possible, so I will not show you next week at all. But yeah, this is my calendar, and I hope you enjoyed. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. So I'll catch you in the next video, and as always, keep sewing.